Alright, well, greetings everyone, and welcome to a faceless video, because honestly, I would feel absolutely terrible about taking up one iota of screen space from this absolutely gorgeous video game. And boy oh boy, I know we are only, well, pretty much 9 months done for this year of 2024. But boy oh boy does it sure look like this is going to be my game of 2024. Possibly one of my favorite games of all time, because the simple fact is, when you play a game for the first time, you can never get that experience back. You can have lots of other experiences over the course of your life, playing video games at different times. Sometimes they help you when you're feeling bad. Sometimes they help you get through a rough spot. Sometimes they get you through a great spot, even better. And to that end, I had kind of given up on that idea that I would ever have such an experience again, like that first Final Fantasy VII experience was gone forever. I would never, ever get that experience back again. But I have to say, this was a hell of a playthrough when this first came out. I actually didn't watch the final 3 trailers for this game before it was released, which was a very great decision, because there were plenty of surprises that kept me smiling and excited and happy through playing this entire thing. And my first playthrough ran about 100 hours. And I know I'm faffing about, but part 1 of these playthroughs is always my chance to do this kind of stuff, so I'm just going to do it. But I have to say, like, after my first playthrough of this game, which lasted over 100 hours, or at least it was like 90 or something, it was a really high amount of hours, I just had such a burnout from this video game, because it was so important to me, it was so exciting, and so many highs, and even a few disappointments, and that made it fantastic. And the discourse and the sales that were stuff that was going around at the time kind of didn't help my mood after it was all said and done. But here we are, many months later, many games that I've played throughout 2024, and I'm ready to go again. So let's explain. Final Fantasy VII. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite game of all time. Remake, I absolutely love. I have played Remake many times. I can't even figure out how many times I've replayed that game between the PS4 and PS5. And now Rebirth is here, and geez, is Rebirth massive. So what is this playthrough? I've talked a fair bit here. What's this playthrough going to be? Well, this playthrough is going to be a love letter, of course, to me in this game. I'm going to be very happy throughout pretty much all of this. I won't be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth events or anything that'll happen like before it happens, kind of thing. I will make comments as we go along about this compared to the original Final Fantasy VII, which I'm actually doing a full playthrough as well at the same time I'm doing this, so that works out really, really well. I'm going to be kind of just having fun, commenting with the characters. Hopefully the audio balancing is perfect for this, because I really want it to be perfect. And the settings, at least for the get-go, I want to talk just a little bit about this. So settings, I've turned off as much of the UI as I can, made it as small as possible. So navigation, chat box, all of that is essentially gone. I have, however, subtitles on to help people with subtitles. And I have basically just kind of made it about as clean as I possibly can. There are 3 modes for this because this is modern video gaming. And for people who are going to complain about the frame rate, I'd just like to remind you that the original FF7 ran at 15 frames per second, and we loved every frame of it back in the day. So, you know, frames not super important. I played through this game originally on performance mode, smooth, because it looks fine on my monitor. I'm trying to record these videos in the best quality that I possibly can, but everyone's going to have a difference of opinion. I believe what we're going to do for this video is for these videos, we are going to run it on quality mode, which is 30 frames per second. And at least for a little bit, because if I'm fine with it, I'm fine. Like, if you switch back and forth between 60 FPS and 30 FPS, it is jarring, it is noticeable. But I think if we do this playthrough straight through on 30 FPS the whole time, because I'd like to see the visual quality in these videos. We'll talk about difficulty in a second, but the story so far, for those of you who didn't play Remake, or those of you who have skipped Remake, I mean, it's essentially the Midgar section, and I'm allowed to say that because that's the original FF7. So it's a little bit expanded, there are some extra things in there, and there are of course some important story elements. So I feel that we would be much maligned if we didn't do this.
There is so much to tell. Where should I even start? With all that we saw, what we heard, what we felt.
For those who don't know, this is Red 13 talking.
Our part in it. Best to start at the beginning, perhaps. Midgar, the city of Mako, ruled by the Shinra Electric Power Company, who drained the planet of its very essence, the life stream, and processed it for industry as Mako.
Those bastards.
Our world was dying, and so few could hear her cries for mercy. Those who could rose up in her defense. The anti-Shinra rebels, Avalanche. Among them, Cloud Strife, an ex-soldier hired by the Resistance to destroy Reactor 1.
Crazy how good these games look. Like, just compared to the original.
Amidst the aftermath of the attack, Cloud met a flower seller named Aerith. She offered him a yellow blossom. One said to symbolize reunion.
Reunion. That word's gonna get used a million times.
Destiny set in motion. With Reactor 1 gone, Avalanche set their sights on Mako Reactor 5. Unfortunately, they were playing right into Shinra's hands. The company was able to draw the wool over the people's eyes. And in the end, destroyed Sector 7, killing thousands and laying the blame at Avalanche's feet.
Surprised it wasn't tens of thousands. It looks like a big city.
Lost, Avalanche had no time to grieve. Aerith had struck a deal with Shinra, who took her into custody. With her capture, Shinra's obsession was within reach. The fabled Promised Land. For Aerith was the last of the Cetra, the ancient stewards of the planet. And only she could guide them to paradise. To save her, the team infiltrated the Shinra building, the company's beating heart. It was here that I, another prisoner, joined their story and assisted them in freeing Aerith. Yet during our flight, we came face to face with a man thought dead.
The legend, the specimen.
Sephiroth. Before he could be stopped, Cloud's foe fled with the corpse of Genova, the cataclysm from the stars and the catalyst of our plight. Eventually, we too made good our escape. Pursuing troopers defeated, we raced toward Midgar's edge. Yet Sephiroth once again intervened. Suddenly, deafening screams rent the air. Whispers, the arbiters of fate, descended upon the city.
The thing the fans hate. The arbiters of fate. I actually like the whispers, but...
Before their imposing wall, Aerith warned us. This was Destiny's crossroads. Every moment, every action, every step taken had all been as the Whispers willed it. To fight them was to break free. On the other side of fate, Sephiroth waited, the Whispers undulating within him. Cloud brought his blade down upon his rival, sundering destiny. The fight won, and the shackles of destiny broken. We stood before the unknown, a world of boundless freedom.
Or so we thought. No, actually boundless freedom.
There, beyond where fate could follow, that a new journey began.
Well, that about sums it up. Alright, so a couple of things. First off, I know a lot about Final Fantasy VII. A lot. Because I've read a bunch. But I'm not a perfect expert. I don't dedicate my life to the study of Final Fantasy. So there's probably going to be some things I get wrong. And, you know, just politely correct me if I make those mistakes and you want people to know the correct truth. So be it. But I'm going to do my best, and I'm probably going to try and drop some knowledge throughout this whole thing. The other thing is that for people who have various strong opinions about the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, which was announced back in 2015, and here we are almost 10 years later with 66% of it done at this point. For those of you who want to complain that it's not a one-for-one remake, I'm going to stop you right there. To the original, because I don't care about that. The original themes of the original Final Fantasy VII were to deal with life and death, to do with one of the creators, developers, who was going through a bunch of things, and I think that's why that story still is so strong even to this day, because it touches on things that just are so key. But for people who I feel like this is really important, the themes of Final Fantasy VII Remake, I feel, are just very different. Similar things will happen, some slightly different things will happen, but overall, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I love it for what it is. I love that it tries to do some new stuff, and I will never feel bad about that. I might apologize. I'm Canadian. I do that. I apologize for all kinds of shit. But anyway. Alright. So that's part one done. I think I've spoken my piece. And piece, I do need to say, just before we get underway with one of my favorite games ever. Alright. See you back in a moment.